Hello, Finnish audience. Welcome to Institute. My name is Amit Lahav. I'm the artistic director of Gecko. 20 years ago, I started to make work. I didn't really have an absolute intention that I was going to make a company or that I was going to start to embark on creating a style of work. It's just what I wanted to make at that time, and I met some like-minded, sympathetic human beings who were musicians and performers from very different backgrounds. One was from dance, one was from more from theatre, one was from circus, and I met a technical maker who was a technician who could make, who was fantastic with ropes and making and all sorts of things. So I just began making the things that excited me, and really and truly, it was a voyage to do with connecting with phenomenal human beings, and it remains the same now. That's the same impetus that I have now, which is to connect with incredible human beings, and to create a world through the process of probably 4 years to make one show. So it's a long voyage. Some people call it physical theatre, some people call it dance, some people call it dance theatre. I don't mind. I suppose to me, it's just theatre that I make. And yeah, that's a little bit about the company. Every time I start to make a piece of work, I have a thinking year. This year, at the beginning, is about opening myself up to something that is deeply personal, a feeling, an emotion, a sense that I have, usually reflective of myself and myself in the world and the world. And I investigate that idea and that feeling a little bit with residencies, workshops, with looking at paintings, listening to music, and actually mostly just life. And I think at the time that the initial feelings about Institute emerged, I was really thinking about care, how we care about each other or how we don't care about each other. And I suppose in a personal sense, how do I care more about myself? How do I become better at caring for others? So in a sense, it's really a voyage to do with empathy. It's the struggle in particular that men have to be expressive about how they care for each other and themselves. And I suppose there are elements, a kind of hilarious kind of inability of expression that certainly that men in this particular piece that I've made find themselves in, and the sort of torture and the brutality of that lack of care as well. Yeah, I think that's in the broadest sense, that's really what the exploration was about. Yeah, about humanity, care, and empathy. The process of making a film from this idea is sort of like starting again in a way, a little bit. Making a theatre piece is so completely different to actually, I mean, partly because I felt a true commitment to try to make a cinematic experience. I wasn't interested in filming the show or filming the show really well. I was interested in creating a cinematic experience that was purposefully and meaningfully cinematic, shot in a cinematically dramatic way, in a classic cinematic shoot way, where you have a setup shot, you have a two shot, you have a reverse shot, you have a you have a close up, and that drama would play out. and that we would rely on the physicality and the emotionality of the characters to be transformative and transportative in the way that Gecko is. But because it's captured on film, and because of the detail that is possible to create with edit, it's such an incredibly different experience. So I really had to start again to storyboard the characters, the idea, and the voyage of the piece, really in a year-long process of writing the film. There are certain things to do with the audience's imagination and the level of perception of what's happening that I had to really reconsider. Yeah, I mean, in the theatre piece, one can be expansive and very poetic and very open in terms of the space and the treatment of the space, and with film, one can be extraordinarily detailed and specific, and in a way, I had to soften certain things about making a film which I was being drawn to, like, for example, the creation of corridors that the characters walk down. You know, suddenly I had to find a corridor in a location sense. I had to find a corridor, but in being in a corridor, which you're not in the theatre piece, specifically in a corridor, it sort of takes you into a more naturalistic environment. And so then I had to soften other things to make sure that the piece remains poetic and open to interpretation. And I think it's worth saying that for me, a Gecko world is a mirror. It is a set of provocations that really should implicate the audience into investing the narrative of their own lives inside of the piece. That's really what's going on. Whatever I tell you about the piece, whatever I say about the intentions, it's kind of irrelevant once you get pulled in. Once you get pulled in as an audience member into that piece, really it will become an invitation for you to embark upon a specific aspect of your life or a range of aspects of your life. I've been touring and playing the show for so many years. I've heard so many versions of what the show means or what particular aspect of the show provokes certain feelings. There's really nothing I can say about what the show is, because I wouldn't want to nullify somebody's voyage into the piece, which could be very specifically about them, a very personal feeling that I couldn't possibly know about. So yeah, I think there is an enormous difference in making a film, and the difficulty was in balancing the poetic language of the piece versus the specific detailed control that you have with film. I had to find a balance. I really hope you dive in and have a gorgeous voyage, a personal voyage, because this is an invitation to you individually. I invite you individually to relinquish any perceptions and to not worry about certainly the spoken language, just to perceive the humanity in the show, and then to perceive your own humanity within the show. I really hope you enjoy the voyage. Thank you.